we crack on with Hit Miss Maybe. And first of all, let's get a summary of who is here and what they are wearing. Ariel, where are you and what are you wearing?
This time next week, I'll be in Geneva, but I'm still in Los Angeles. I'm wearing my Accutron Space View 2020 because if I don't wear it, it will die.
It needs the activity. Is that what we're saying?
No, if you actually let the battery fully die, you need to send it in for them to send you a new battery. Like it will actually die.
That's a handy
It's weird
technology.
now. It's like a weird child. I have to keep it nearby. Like, oh, have I touched you in a while? Like give you some attention so you don't completely pass out on me.
It's the
scary thing to
Tamagotchi
know
of
that
watches.
it's like. But if you keep it alive, if you give it enough attention, like a plant or something, it'll outlive you.
Ripley's the man sitting in front of the wall that will outlive us all. But what are you wearing in the wrist and where are you? Well, we know where you are.
Well, like Ariel, I'm in Los Angeles, but this time next week I'll be in Geneva. But Ariel and I attended a Philip Plein event, and so I am rocking this bad boy right here.
It's as amazing as it looks, by the way.
Yeah, and Ariel has an unreleased version within this family as well, so you can catch up with him in Geneva and spot that on his wrist.
That's the epitome of good taste, that watch.
Glory of plastic and mechanics, all woven into one. Truly the art of fusion.
I'm guessing the art of fusion. I'm guessing you're going to be able to spot it from quite some distance away. David, I'll ask the question because I ask it every week. Where are you and what are you not wearing?
I'm wearing actually another symphony of plastics and mechanics, which with the Siga design.
Siga design, woohoo!
Yeah, whatever it is. I had to look it up. Hold on. It is the Series XI of Horus. None of that makes any sense, but it's a likable watch. I reviewed it a while ago on a blog to watch, and it's quite cool. A bit noisy, but a charming watch. Very cheap.
Excellent,
cool.
Excellent. So after last week's noise comment about your mother's house, you're not sending her a load of those to go with the swatches?
Oh, dang. I was there like 2 days ago and I forgot. I wanted to record an audio just of those freaking swatches and I totally forgot. I will do it. Next time I go, I will do that.
Next time you go. Good stuff. We're joined by Pete. Good morning, Pete. Or good evening as you're in Oz. But where in Oz are you and what are you wearing?
I'm in Melbourne and I am wearing a little bit of neo vintage loveliness. 1990s Girard Perregaux Traveller 7000.
Very nice indeed. And Along, good morning. Where are you and what are you wearing?
I am in Amsterdam. I'm wearing my Bamford B80. And
very good.
I'm getting in the mood for the launch today because we're launching a collab with Ace today with Bamford. So I'm getting in the mood. The prototype isn't in yet, so I haven't had it in my hands, the finished product. And before I hand the mic back to you, Rick, if I may, I want to salute the Blog to Watch gentlemen on not only going to the Philip Plein event, covering it, and actually rocking the watches, because that shows you guys covered the whole spectrum of the watch industry. So I salute you.
Thank you, Alon.
Yours is in the post, Alon. Expect to see you wearing it next week.
You're going to be a retailer, right? They would do well, honestly. I'm not kidding. They would.
Listen, I believe there is a market for it.
I personally want their sneakers. I want their sneakers. I would love for them to send me some of those. A matching pair for this.
The idea of having been to Ace George, the idea of the Christian Vanderclaw cabinet and then a cabinet full of Klein sitting next to it is just like, that's just what needs to happen. Alon, you need to make that happen. Anyway, I'm in Scotland, but I'm not wearing a Panerai. I'm in Scotland. I'm wearing this. This is a D-Trash the Planet. So
wow. Do you have a fever, Rick? Rick, do you have a fever?
Must have Panerai. It's okay. It's sitting here, so we're all right. So yeah, the guy sent that in to have a look at. So yeah, very nice. Yeah, good chunky. Just it's Panerai enough. It's hefty enough that it doesn't make me think my
gotta have the chunk
way down. Gotta have the chunk. Right, let's get on and review some hit miss maybe watches. And first up this week is going to be the Mondaine Neo Chronograph 41. Ariel, you wrote the article on this. Care to give us a short introduction?
Well, It's everything you know and love in a Mondaine, but with a chronograph. They've done it before. They brought it back. This is the what they call the Neo style case. I think it was 41 millimeters wide. I guess for people who are enthusiasts, what to take away from this is a good gift watch. There's someone out there that wants, give them something conservative, a little artsy, but just a bit sporty. This is the way to go. Not sporty, no chronograph. A little bit sporty, a little dangerous, a little adventure, chronograph. I think this is under $500. So it's a good looking design. It will obviously, if you're an enthusiast wearing enthusiast grade watches, it will leave you a little lacking. But again, as that gift watch, we have to give gifts. We might as well give watches. This should be on your list.
There you go. There's a great guide for life. We have to give gifts, so we might as well give watches. I like that. That should
Well, if
be
we
the
know
new
watches,
tagline.
right? No one else is going to be giving this stuff as gifts.
That should be the new tagline. Right, well, let's give it a judge, a hit, a miss, or a maybe. 1, 2, 3, go. It's basically all maybes except Alon. So, Alon, let's start with you. Tell us why it's a hit.
Well, I'm totally subjective. I always loved the railway clock because that's what Mondaine is based on. So as a kid, I've seen these clocks to visiting Switzerland. As a retailer, we sold bucket loads of them. And it's actually awesome that they're back. And just to support them, I would say a hit and buy one. Actually, great suggestion by Arrow to give them as gifts. Kids, you give flick flacks. If you don't have the budget, you give swatches. And for a bit of a conservative or classic crowd, awesome piece. For those that have never seen Mondaine, just maybe delve into it because it's typical Swiss design, and that's why it's cool. And just to support them, I'll go for a Panda. Chrono.
Go for a Panda. I voted maybe in this just because the movement, it moves the subdials just too close to the middle for me. There's just a bit too much space. It's obviously a smaller movement. It's just just not quite right proportion wise. Pete, why did you give it a maybe?
Exactly the same reason you did. It feels a little like it's kind of been put together from parts that were lying around, or someone's who was going to perhaps make a Michael Kors or something else just licensed Mondaine. It just didn't feel enough for me. But all of the things that Ariel said, I'm sure it's quite well made. I'm sure it would work quite well as a gift. So I'm kind of not going to go hard and say it's definitely a miss, but I can't go past a maybe.
David, you'll be familiar with these Swiss clocks in Geneva. Is this one as complicated to set as the stop-go?
I'm not sure how complicated it is to set. I voted a maybe because it's every time I see someone wear a Mondaine, I'm like, how are you not super bored with that watch already? It's cool and charming for the first couple of seconds, and then I look at it and I'm like, I'd be, maybe it's just me, but for me, it's just a cool concept, but I'm intrigued by it for as long as I wait for a train, but I wouldn't want to wear it all the time.
Ripley, it feels to me like your wall would work well with a wee Mondaine clock in that corner. What about the watch on your wrist?
So I like the clocks. I therefore like the watch design. But for me, it really looks best when it's in its three-handed format. Maybe not the stop to go with its infuriatingly difficult movement. But, as others have mentioned, I think there's just enough things that this one didn't do perfectly with proportions as far as the subdials being too close, the date window kind of then being out in the middle of nowhere, which is a little bit more obvious on this model because it's so minimalist and sparse. But at the same time, it does look different than like your average mall watch. And so for someone who appreciates the clean design, it's got the Swiss heritage, it's a solid option. So it's not a home run by any means, but you could do far worse. So it's a maybe.
Ariel, you're the one that's had it on the wrist. Would you any desire to keep it on the wrist?
If like I had no other watch, I'd be perfectly happy wearing it. As an enthusiast, I just have a ton of options that are a little bit more weird and characterful and things like that. So as sort of a starter watch, it's perfect. I'm just not personally the target demographic, but once in a while in the right setting, wear it. I understand the hesitation about the subdials being too much in the center, but that also leaves the hour markers not touched, so legibility in a sense kind of benefits. I think that I want to see more not designer, but more details that I think enthusiasts want. Deeper hour markers, more depth to the dial overall, just fancier. So I'd like to see Mondaine do like a really luxury version. They've done things similar to that in the past. Maybe there's no market for that, but I think that there could be. Like I'd rather buy a $20,000 version of this than that Arnold and Son. Okay.
Yes, go back if you're on the podcast, and do go back. So if you're on the YouTube channel, do go back to the podcast to hear what we had to say about the Arnold and Son. Right, next up, let's talk Aquastar. So Aquastar is the brainchild, or the revival brainchild, of the man who revived Doxa and brought it back to life, Rick Marai. He's moved on for various reasons to Aquastar and has produced this center minutes chronograph. I don't know what to think about this. I think this is probably a watch you absolutely need to see as to whether it's so completely confusing as to what it's doing as to be not very usable. So I don't know if any of the gentlemen here have had a chance to look at either this watch or one with a similar action. But let's not let facts get in the way of judgment. Let's give it a judge. So is this a hit, a miss, or is it a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit, hit, hit. Oh, it's a clean sweep of hits.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, that's.
Wasn't expecting that.
I certainly wasn't expecting that, but let's see if we can justify why. Ariel, why is this a hit?
Well, I think on a basic level, it looks nice. Like it's an attractive watch. I don't know why that I continue to have a soft spot for watches of this era, but it's got good proportions. The chronograph, I mean, it's like a fidget chronograph, right? It's basically a monopusher that lets you measure a minute. And that's it. That's what it is. And you could just endlessly play with it. Just keep cycling through that there. So I'm not sure if I would necessarily put down the money myself for it, but if I had a good deal on this or was given this to wear, I could see it getting a lot of wrist time. Again, because it has that highly conservative look with enough refinement, plus that added fidget chronograph that just gives it some personality that nothing else in the space has. Well, very few things in the space have.
Ripley?
Is it only a minute, or is it an hour and it's like a central minute totalizer on that one? I feel like the
Isn't
minute
it just a extra seconds hand?
No, is it a minute hand?
It's one hand that does something.
Well,
we know that it's a single hand chronograph.
I've used some chronographs before where it's a central minutes hand, and that's kind of cool because it tracks like a minute hand around the dial. I think,
but without a second, that's rare. Chronographs that don't measure the seconds, they do exist. The Daniel Roth Chronosprint Endure is one of them.
The orange one is a 60-minute totalizer. So you start it, and then you have the chronograph seconds and the minutes both on the center.
Yeah, so no running seconds.
No.
So I thought so I thought the chronograph was the running seconds.
Well, you can use it as such.
So that's I see. So the what looks like the GMT hand is the minute hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So it's even more fun, slightly more useful fidget chronograph.
Yeah, so that's why I like it. I think it's cool. Good design. It does look a bit chonky, but a good design. But it's a hit for me just because of the implementation of that movement. I think that's a fun one. We don't see it enough. So just based on that alone, it's a hit.
Yeah, David.
Yeah, I love it. Good proportions. As Saria said, I love the functionality. It's just a cool looking watch overall. It's not cheap. I mean, it's pre-order $27.90, so it's and then it's $37.90 once it's after the pre-order period. I'm not sure if it's a $4,000 watch, but for around $2,800, I guess I like it. Yeah, very cool.
Yeah, very good. Pete, you also
this is micro brands being good things and doing something that really only a micro brand can do. I think if a mainstream brand tried to bring out a central minutes chronograph, it would crash and burn and sell 2,000 copies, and it would be a massive failure. But if Aquastar sells 2,000 of them, it's a massive hit. So I think for that reason, only because it's been released by a micro brand, it's a hit.
Very good, very good. Finally, Alon, would you like to sell these in your shop?
Well, actually, I love the Aquastars on paper, but when seeing the Deep Star chronographs, I was a bit disappointed. Seeing this, I got very excited, and I started racking my brain why. It reminded me of the 70s Contikis. IDF used to use them. I am happy they took the script font off the dial, so they're caps now, so that may be persuading. But then, reading that La Jouperet helped them with the central chronograph movement for below 3K, I got very excited. So I think it's a very good buy. I don't understand why they would take off $1,000 off the price for pre-order, because they're not that micro anymore. So I don't feel they need that cash flow to finance the production. So that's only maybe the only critique I have.
Good stuff. Well, yeah, go and check out that review at ablogtowatch.com. It's obviously got the yes vote, the hit vote from all of us. So yeah, if Aquastar would just like to send us one each so as we can try it out and figure out which hand actually does what, then that would be handy.
Can I recommend that the watch industry consider a moratorium on the word heritage? I think they've officially killed it. And for heritage to mean anything at all ever again, they need to stop using it for, let's say, 5 years.
For a heritage period, they could bring back. We're bringing back the heritage.
No, we have to. It's like we have to
years.
forget the word exists. We have to do everything we do in the watch industry without the word heritage. Okay, just a moratorium.
Ariel, you have your next topic for your amazing industry insiders essay newsletter, and everyone working in the industry, I highly recommend. How can they subscribe, even, Ariel? Or do you have a ballotage who gets on that mailing list?
They can't. They have to ask me.
Okay, so guys, spam
Secret.
Ariel. Yeah, spam Ariel, because if you work in the industry, you must do yourself a favor and subscribe to these newsletters.
I will put people on if they want to, if they really want to be on. So yes, take Alon's advice.
So there you go. Yeah, Ariel does produce a secret society newsletter every so often,
which is not rants about the word heritage most of the time, frankly. Okay.
The logo is the pyramid with an eye.
We could make it like a swear jar for the editorial team. Every time you use it, put $1 in the jar, and when it's full, you buy pizza for the team.
Well, the circle with the line through it, like the Ghostbusters thing, just that with the word heritage in the middle. Make that a sticky Instagram post or something like that at the top there. Everyone should do it for posterity and for not posterity, for just collectively trying to send this message. Let's just all keep spreading the word that the anti-heritage agenda.
What Ari was basically saying is he wants to make heritage great again.
A little bit. I wanted to mean something.
Use the word heritage once these watches they are making today become their heritage. So I give that like a 20, 30 year period. I think 5 is way too short.
They self-regulated on the word extreme. I don't think you remember this. About 15 years ago, like every other watch had the word extreme in it, and then they just took off the letter E and it just became a big X.
Talking about you, Zenith. Well, we have a Media Alert T-shirt on its way, following 2 weeks ago. So if somebody else would like to volunteer to make us either Make Heritage Great Again T-shirt, or the Ghostbusters symbol with heritage with a round and a cross through it, then we'll give you a bit of, and put your brand name on it, then we'll give you a bit of promo on the podcast as well. This is our new line of comedy T-shirts.
Okay, I'm going to tell this is another joke.
Heritage Great Again.
Over the last 4 months, multiple brands have introduced a new model to me, and they're like, "Do you know what we're calling it?" And it's just the word heritage. Okay, like, and just like, "Oh my god, what is wrong with you people? What consumer is like, I'll buy anything if it's called heritage?"
Good stuff. Well, hopefully you'll stay tuned to the YouTube channel to listen to our heritage reviews on the not so heritage Angelus and the very heritage Rolex Submariner as our classic hit miss maybe. So if you are on the YouTube channel, you've got that to look forward to. If you're on the podcast, go check out the YouTube channel. And if you're on the podcast, the next thing you hear, and I'll give a warning now, will be Ripley's random thought, otherwise known as an update on Ripley's white goods in his house. So tune in for that. We'll either see you shortly or speak to you shortly. Okay, next up is the Angelus Instrument, the Vitesse Monopusher Chronograph, another Monopusher. It's very pretty, but is it actually any more than just a pretty looking watch? Has it got anything about it that would make it a hit, or is it all maybes and misses? Let's give it a vote. On your marks, get set, go. Maybes, misses, hits. It's a broad spectrum, bit of a broad brush. Anyway, so first up then. Well, actually, Ariel, how did you vote in this?
Maybe.
Is there a purpose to a monopusher? Like,
Sure.
Should it still be a thing?
You know what? If they can make money off of it, it should still be a thing.
Still be a thing.
I like how they pretended that the Monopusher was somehow fancier than like the two pusher chronograph, and I was like, wait a minute, people, you realize this other thing you should be paying more for, not this thing here. But again, the value, and I'm not trying to say this tongue in cheek, that people like fidgeting with them. You literally just sit there and it's like a little bit more fun than just winding your crown all the time, right? You know, David loves doing that. If David can't wind a crown, he's like, trash this thing. I've seen David take watches off he can't wind.
Yes.
Like on a table.
I fidget with my watches all the freaking time. I do it, and people look at me like, oh, like, you know, I have to do it. It's just something I like. And if a watch doesn't feel nice to fidget with, then I'm not interested. It's true.
Give us a crown, give us a bezel, give us a Monopusher to just push it in the endless cycle. That's what we want.
It's the unspoken rule of the Panerai Luminor is you can just do that all day long.
Right?
You can just flick it. Anyway, right, Ripley, how did you vote and why?
I said maybe. Yeah, it's a good looking watch. I like the concept of a Monopusher. I don't think it's it's in any way superior or harder to make, but I think this is a cool looking watch. It looks a little that word with an H inspired that we've stricken from our vernacular. But I think it's a cool looking piece. And it doesn't really look like a chronograph, and the fact that it has that functionality, it's pretty cool.
David?
I quite like it because it's cool style. It's a novel take on a chronograph because it only measures up to 1 minute. So Ariel, here you go. This is like your 1 minute center mounted chronograph. Yes, it happened.
Simplicity.
That was quick. It looks a little bit too like a Cuervo Submariner sometimes, especially the black dial one. But I like Cuervo Submariner, so that's fine. And yeah, I like this novel take that not every complication has to be taken super seriously all the time. So that's why I like it. That's why it's a hit.
So David's inspired to smoke. Pete, are you inspired to do addictive drugs by this watch?
No, I gave this one a miss, and which is really funny. I liked this watch right up until I got to the second to last line of the review. And then I just saw 17,000 Swiss francs and said no. So it was. I don't mind this watch. It's kind of fun. I agree exactly with what David said. When someone plays a little bit with a complication and says, you know what, we're going to give you a 60-second chronograph. There's something kind of playful in that. But, I don't want to. People get angry about paying $250 dollars for a playful moon swatch. Well, I feel like someone's taking the piss when this is 17,000 Swiss francs. So no.
Ariel, are you having the urine extracted from you by this watch? Not Ariel, sorry, Alon. What are you thinking of this watch?
I am smitten. I'm in love. I saw it in August in Geneva during Geneva Watch Days. They gave a preview. I put it on my wrist. I fell head over heels. I was about to say take my money, but I said, let me not be stupid. Let me ask what it costs. And when they said the price, I was disappointed because I didn't put my order in. I love Monopusher chronographs. It's about the art of elimination. And the beauty of it, it is a dress watch, a bit sporty. Call it a bit the sporty Calatraves. And putting it in that perspective, if it had Patek on the dial, the finish is almost there. Then they could have charged, what, 40? So it's all relative, isn't it? And then you come to the topic of branding. Do you wear this for you? Do you want people to recognize it when you go out? So I love everything about it. The font, the syringe hands, the numbers, both for the hours and the tachymeter. Finish is superb. It sits beautiful on the wrist. So yeah, I'm in love. So
good stuff. Grant, we'll go and check out the article at blog2watch.com and see what you think. Finally, then on Hit Miss, maybe we go classic, and there is none more classic, I guess, after some earlier conversation than the Rolex Submariner. There's an article this week, hands on the not so anniversary Rolex Submariner 126610 LV green ceramic Kermit. So we'll use this as our launch pad for all things Submariner, launched in 1953 and been kind of there or thereabouts ever since in various forms. So you're in 1953, you're scratching around for a new watch, and somebody tells you or shows you this. What do you think? Are you giving it a hit, a miss, or a maybe? 1, 2, 3, go. Hit, maybe, hit, Ripley.
Wait, are we talking about this one or the
no, we're talking
like,
about the Rolex Submariner in general. So just the whole category
I own one. I can't not say
this is classic hit
fine.
miss maybe. Classic hit miss maybe. So 1953. So everyone's now a hit, or is David still a hit? Does he change his mind? Yeah, everyone's a hit. David's muted. That's my fault. So I'll unmute him. David, you're still a hit.
Yes.
Yes, good stuff. Grand. Right, well, let's find out why this is the watch that apparently floats everybody's boat. David, you go first.
Yeah, I mean, in the 1950s, this was revolutionary. I mean, if you visit Periscope and you look at the history of the 50 Fathoms and then the Submariner, you will learn which one came first. Spoiler alert, it's probably not what you're thinking. But yeah, it's a fun read for sure. And yeah, I think, that this blew everybody's mind for a good reason. I mean, it's just such a strong package. It's stuck around for 70 years for a good reason.
Pete?
I'm going to limit my hit to the 1953 version. Pre-Mercedes hands, pre-Cyclops, pre-scalloped bezel. That was the best the Submariner ever got. And yeah, at that point, it peaked early. And it spent 70 years on a slow decline. But if we take the 1953 version, that is gorgeous.
Okay. Alon, are you keener on the old or keener on the new?
Old. I have never owned a Rolex with a ceramic bezel yet. I am not keen on ceramic bezels. I took the plunge first time ever on the Zenith Chronomaster Sport. And I'm going to swap that over to the full titanium. So I'm going ceramic bezel-less again, although I'm saying that I still have a Pelagos left hand. So that's a matte ceramic bezel. But old all the way. Aluminum, baby, and then bakelite.
Now, I want to ask the same question of Mr. Adams. Ariel, old or new?
New all the way.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah, you go.
Oh my gosh. David remembers this time long ago where we didn't publish it, but we were going to compare like a 1970s Submariner to like a $200 Seiko from today. And I would pretty much ever respect the Seiko as a superior watch. I mean,
Yeah.
look, if you have a hard on for nostalgia, by all means go with the old stuff. But if you like want the best tool watch, you always buy the newest Rolex. Rolex, part of their defining quality is like always make stuff better no matter what. We just have to keep making something better all the time. And so it's like one of the most reliable things in the world is your next Rolex is probably going to be in some ways better than the last one if it's a new model. Like they make sure of that. The one that you showed with the green and the black, my problem is it's not green or black enough for me. I don't like that color combination. I think that, again, all green, great. I have that. All black, great. That's good too. But that combo, it was a halfway thing. It's when they had the green aluminum bezel. And I just think they were afraid of having a green dial because they knew it would fade and look terrible at some point, which it probably would have until the patina lovers got it. And so then when they came out with this new, slightly larger version of the Submariner, the 2023 model, they just brought this one back. They had to do something. So again, it's if someone just hands it to you, you'll be very happy. My last thing I should say about the Submariner is it should never be any one of your first luxury watches. Be into watches for years, maybe decades, then get a Rolex. You'll appreciate it for what it is. You'll see how well they're made, the insane attention to detail. And some days it'll feel like the world's best watch, and other days you'll be so bored of it, you're like, I can't wear this thing. I'd rather wear no watch.
Ripley, would you rather wear no watch than an old Rolex?
No, I own a couple old Rolexes. I have a Submariner.
And yet you're wearing a plastic watch.
It's not plastic. It is it's green silicone and the black bits are metal. And there's a skull of carbon fiber on the dial.
Motorcycle grade steel.
Yeah, this is the best that this is a highly modern piece. I have an old Sub. I like it. It's it was the watch that I first got into watches because my mom had a Rolex. I thought it was cool that it wound itself and could go in the water. When I found out that there was a Submariner, basically one that also wound itself and could go more in the water, I was totally there for that. So like I've always loved this Sub. And it wasn't until I was in like high school and college that I even like dissected what even the Submariner was. But I always thought the concept was cool. So I love it in all of its shapes and forms. I own one that's from the early 90s. But yeah, the new ones feel quite nice. But I have a couple weird little nitpicks about the ceramic generations from my time working on the service side.
Good stuff. Well, welcome back to all those podcast listeners. If you haven't got yourself onto the YouTube channel, then you've missed the great debate between Ariel and Alon and others about whether old Rolex or new Rolex is better. So go to the YouTube channel to check that out. But we're going to finish up with a Ripley's random thought. So Ripley, give us a random thought.
Well, for starters, as of this morning, my refrigerator is fixed. So anyone who's been, it's been done. Now I cannot use it for another 2 days because apparently it needs to like get cold or something. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. So here,
but hold on. Are you gonna not do anything for 2 days though, or are you just gonna go? I know better. I'm putting stuff in this. I don't care.
Well, we're gonna start with the non-perishables. I think like some carbonated water, some beer. That's fine to like trickle back in. Maybe some condiments, but like, yeah, I'm not taking the eggs out of the mini fridge. That's a great way to end up with salmonella. You know.
Good stuff.
So that has been handled. Random thought: are there alligators in Switzerland? Because like, there's a lot of Swiss watches with gator straps, and I just want to know, like, where are these getting these bad boys?
Louisiana
alligator farms.
Yeah, like up in the mountains, like Le Chaux de Fonds, there's just like a guy with a bunch of gators next to the sheep. Like, yeah, where are they getting them? Are they all imported, or like, do they vacation there, or?
They're all getting their hair cut, ready to go to watch.
I'd love to see Swiss like regulations meets alligator farming.
Well, I don't see them in Lake Geneva, so I don't know. I'd like to see them like by the fountain or something like that.
They might eat the swans.
Good stuff. Well, there you go. If you have the answer to whether alligator farming is a thing in Switzerland, then do contact the show, podcast@ablogtowatch.com, and contact that email address for anything else. that takes your fancy, or you think we should be talking about, or you wish to tell or contribute to the show. But other than that, that is us for this week. So say goodbye, everybody. Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.